Part 23. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 221. Having just finished the chess game halfway through, the director called out. It's not that something went wrong, it's that the scene has already been filmed. Zhang Lingzi stood up neatly after taking a look at the current chess game. Although the game was not finished yet, both she and her opponent could think of several subsequent moves before taking the next move. It can be seen that even if it goes to the end, it will only be a close ending. My chess skills are good, but it seems I was humble just now. So is your Majesty. Wei Xiao listened to the words of his male and female protagonists complimenting each other coming from the radio. He just thought that Shen Yunqing had just gotten used to calling your Majesty, so he subconsciously responded again. Couldn't help but smile and reprimand, you will be willful. When filming just now, there was a camera facing the chessboard. After a few moves, Wei Xiao discovered that neither Zhang Lingzi nor Shen Yunqing did what he said, but instead played a new game. Fortunately, the scene was successfully filmed and he couldn't say anything else. Even when I saw someone was about to clean up the chessboard, I quickly picked up the loudspeaker to stop them. The chessboard will be collected later. He had to stare at the monitor just now, but he couldn't take a good look at this game. When he was going to have lunch later, he stayed in front of the chessboard and studied while eating. The crew started to eat. Zhang Lingzi came out of the temporary dressing room of the crew. She had already changed into her own clothes and removed the hair crown on her head. She did not take off the makeup on her face. She took the tissue handed to her by Lu Zhengzheng and wiped it carefully. Wipe sweat. Looking up, she saw Wei Minmin standing not far in front, waving to her, Sister 11, come quickly, I have delicious food here. Zhang Lingzi. The weather was so hot that even though everyone had been busy all morning and was already so hungry that their chests were glued to their backs, they still couldn't whet their appetite when faced with the same big pot meal served by the crew. Many people simply ordered the takeaway they wanted to eat. Actors who have assistants will not treat themselves badly. The studio here has not yet closed work, and many actors have already asked their assistants to buy the lunch they want to eat. Wei Minmin even likes to buy several portions at a time. In her words, eating alone is boring, eating with several people around can make the meal more delicious. She was one of the friends who was dragged over. When Zhang Lingzi walked to the door of the small cubicle where they usually ate, she saw that Su Linggan was also there. There was no doubt that Wei Minmin must have called her here. 4 dishes and 1 soup were already placed on the table. They were all delicious, and much more delicious than the food served by the crew. Zhengzheng, let's eat with you. I have someone to accompany me for lunch today. Who dares to come to our general Wei to intercept who? Out of the corner of his eye, Zhang Lingzi saw Shen Yunqing, who had also changed back to his regular clothes. Hearing Wei Minmin's self-identification, she couldn't help but joke, unfortunately, I'm 1 level higher than you. Wei Minmin, Shen, Prime Minister Shen, when she noticed Shen Yunqing walking towards her, she was instantly frightened, you are so high-ranking that you can kill people, how dare I compete with Prime Minister Shen, then I will do it right now. Your Majesty will be left alone. Su Linggan and Lu Zhengzheng on the side couldn't help but laugh. At this moment, everyone was busy looking for a shady place to eat and rest. Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing walked out of the set together without attracting much attention. Where to eat? It's in the car, Shen Yunqing said and raised his hand. Zhang Lingzi looked in the direction of his finger and saw a white RV parked quietly in a shady area. Don't tell me that you bought such an RV just for this filming. She wants to hate the rich. Shen Yunqing decisively turned around and said, rent. The weather is hot, so having an RV will be more convenient. Don't the crew have to go outside the Great Wall for filming later? It will be somewhat inconvenient in that kind of place, and an RV can solve a lot of problems. Although he knew in his heart that the man in front of him had slept on the belly of a horse when he led troops to fight in his previous life, even if he went outside the Great Wall, he would still be able to adapt better than others. But since you can have better conditions, why go through unnecessary hardships? When the two of them walked to the car, the door opened, and Hizou jumped out of the car, holding a tablet in his hand that never left his side. "Boss, Miss Zhang, good afternoon." Zhang Lingzi looked at him in a suit and leather shoes and asked, "Have you been in this car all morning?" "Well," Hizou responded to Zhang Lingzi's questions, "I handled some work and held 2 video exchange meetings. Lunch has been put on the table. Miss Zhang and the boss can go up and eat." Zhang Lingzi couldn't help but turn her head and glance at Shen Yunqing. "This is not just a RV, it should be called a mobile office. Have you eaten yet?" "I've already eaten." Hizou smiled and nodded. "Boss, I'll go to the driver's seat in front and take a nap. Just leave some private space for the boss and Ms. Zhang." Getting in the car, Zhang Lingzi's eyes lit up. The furnishings in the car are not very exquisite and eye-catching. They are simple in white and the space is not very large. However, although the car is small, it has all the necessary features. The key is that such a small house can be walked around. On the dining table for 4, there are 2 wooden lunch boxes. However, after Zhang Lingzi washed her hands in front of the small sink, she did not sit down at the dining table immediately. Instead, she took a brief tour of the interior of the RV. In the end, I couldn't help but nod in agreement. It's really convenient. You can cook, eat, sleep, and take a bath, and even have a small refrigerator and washing machine. It is no different from a small home. When we visited just now, Shen Yunqing was walking behind and making introductions. Now he pulled out the chair under the dining table and said, "Let's eat first." Zhang Lingzi suddenly remembered that there was something serious to talk about later, and quickly put back her current desire for the RV. After taking a sip of the freshly squeezed juice she had just taken out of the refrigerator, she opened the lunch box in her hands and kept talking. "Have you found anything out about Xiao Tao's family?" Well, Shen Yunqing saw that Zhang Lingzi had not opened it twice, so he simply handed over the lunch box he had just opened, and then took the one in Zhang Lingzi's hand, and then continued, "The information on the surface, Xiao Tao it's a single-parent family, and she lives with her mother. The lady is in poor health and has been bedridden all year round. Most of Xiao Tao's income is used to pay for her mother's medical expenses. No wonder Zhang Xiao treats her like this, and she doesn't even leave." Zhang Lingzi had personally seen Zhang Xiao beating and scolding Xiao Tao behind the camera. At that time, she felt that this girl was too submissive and could still bear to stay with Zhang Xiao after being so abused. Now it seems that there are also difficulties. What about the information that is not on the surface? Shen Yunqing took out his cell phone, clicked it a few times and pushed it in front of Zhang Lingzi. "This is a photo of Xiao Tao and her mother that I found on the internet. This must have been several years ago." Zhang Lingzi looked at the mother and daughter smiling brightly at the camera in the photo. "It's hard for you to find it." "It's Xiao Tao's account. It was posted 4 years ago. Although the time is a little far away, there will always be traces." Wuju has also seen this photo. I forgot to mention that Wuju. It must be a warlock. Shen Yunqing was not surprised that the person in front of him could guess it, but he majored in Buddhism. "I saw it the last time I went there." Zhang Lingzi looked at the mother and daughter in the photo thoughtfully. "Did Wuju see something from this photo?" Wuju said that even if his face reading skills were not very good, he could still tell that the mother and daughter in the photo were supposed to have a happy family and a smooth and healthy life. Zhang Lingzi frowned immediately. Being a single parent means that her parents are divorced or her father is dead, and her mother is bedridden. It is obvious to the naked eye that Xiao Tao is not doing well. No matter how you look at it, it is not in line with the happiness, prosperity, and well-being of the family. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, X. Press 11. Chapter 222. Although Zhang Lingzi is not very interested in the theory of fortune and numerology commonly used by warlocks, after all, when she first came to the throne, in the eyes of the world, she was taking great risks and forcing a destiny that did not belong to her, but not being cold does not mean that she does not want to understand it at all. To use a sentence she learned now, existence is reasonable. Since this theory of fortune and numerology has been passed down for thousands of years, and many people have believed in it during this period, it must have merit. She thought for a while and said, "So, someone ruined this family's fate." Shen Yunqing nodded. "Wuju and I also made the same guess." Wuju rushed to the hospital where Xiao Tao's mother was staying early this morning. After all, the photo was not of him. He needed to see it with his own eyes and find out who the other party was. "What kind of disease?" he paused and said. "Maybe it's not a disease." Zhang Lingzi felt nauseated for a while. If the truth is really what they guessed, then the Xiao Tao family was kept in the valley, and at the same time, malicious people were lying on the bodies of the three of them to blood wantonly. It is hard to imagine how devastated the victim would be if he knew the truth. Shen Yunqing saw that Zhang Lingzi could not even move her chopsticks, and knew that the anger in her heart had reached the critical point. "Wuju and I will investigate this matter as soon as possible." "Well, I'm going to have to work hard for you next time. This matter is difficult to handle just thinking about it. The Dao is as high as the Dao and the demon is as high as the demon. Mei Shuiqing dares to act wantonly and waste the lives of ordinary people, but they can't help but care. This is doomed that they will be in this matter. But no matter how difficult it is, now that we have found it, there is no reason to give up lightly. Since ancient times, the battle between warlocks has never stopped. Now that this matter involves warlocks, they are unconsciously responsible." Shen Yunqing secretly did not want Zhang Lingzi to have more psychological pressure after reviving her life. This world is rich and colorful, it's time to put down the burden of the world, relax, and live a happy life. "Well, let's eat, otherwise we'll get cold. By the way, how much does the RV you rent cost?" Asterisk. "Where has Xiao Tao gone? I've been getting calls from her mother's hospital to pay her medical bills, and they can't get through Xiao Tao's phone number." Zhang Ziyu endured the irritation and raised his head to look at Zhang Yuding, who rushed in from the door. For a moment, he even wanted to impulsively reply, "Ask your mother." But these 4 words went around in her mouth and were finally swallowed. Even now, she can still clearly remember all the contents of the last phone call she made with her aunt. Even if she couldn't see it with her own eyes, she could guess that the situation with her aunt was probably not good. Since then, Auntie and Xiao Tao seemed to have disappeared from the world, and there was no news from them. She didn't even dare to go to the police station to report Xiao Tao missing. Facing Zhang Yuding's inquiry, she could only find an excuse and said that Xiao Tao was sent to do something by her. But she has been unable to contact her. Even though Zhang Yuding is brainless, she now realizes that something is wrong. But what can she do? "Then you can help me hand it in first. If that doesn't work, just use my card." Zhang Yuding covered her forehead and circled anxiously in front of Zhang Ziyu. "Is this a matter of whose card is used? You should be more precise. What on earth did you send Xiao Tao to do? You can't even make calls anywhere." The result was still Zhang Ziyu's silence. Zhang Yuding saw Zhang Ziyu's indifferent expression and couldn't help but get angry. "Do you still think that I am your agent? I, as an agent, also have the right to know Xiao Tao's whereabouts. If you don't tell me, right, Xiao Tao has been out of contact for several days, and it's long since time to report her missing. I'll go to the police station to file a case." He turned around and prepared to leave. She is a joke as an agent. The door was slammed shut, and Zhang Ziyu came back to his senses. "Cousin." What responded to her was Zhang Yuding's suddenly heavier footsteps. She quickly shouted, "Cousin, Zhang Yuding, you can't go to the police station when you come back." After a moment, Zhang Yuding came back with a solemn look on her face. Tell me honestly, was it because you were in a bad mood when you were on the set, so you hit Xiao Tao lightly or seriously, and seriously injured Xiao Tao? Jiangzi language. Should she just accept this theory? She was still hesitating, but in Zhang Yuding's eyes she acquiesced. I'm not talking about you. If you're in a bad mood, just beat her to vent your anger. Why beat someone seriously? I'm here. How can I find you another assistant who works hard and lets you lose your temper? By the way, which hospital is Xiao Tao in now? The media didn't touch her when she was sent there. Is the hospital hidden? Zhang Ziyu nodded vaguely. Cousin, don't worry about this. Anyway, I can't take over work during this period, so I'd better ask a nurse to take care of me. Zhang Yuding's eyes fell on Zhang Ziyu's leg that was still in plaster, and she couldn't help but think about whether this was retribution. Yeah, you've always had big ideas. Even if you don't want to say it, I can still force you to death. Watching Zhang Yuding go out again, Zhang Ziyu took out her mobile phone from under the pillow. After hesitating for a moment, she called up the call history. She had dialed the top two numbers no less than 100 times each. It's a pity that no one responded to them all. Auntie, where did you take Xiao Tao? Asterisk. At the same time, Liujia had just arrived at the hospital where Xiao Tao's mother was staying following the information he had investigated. The hospital is located in the suburbs of a third-tier small city. Although the location is a bit remote, the scenery is very good. But soon after entering the hospital, I noticed something strange. Although the hospital's business is not good, it means that fewer people are sick, which is a good thing. But if there are too few patients, something is wrong. He walked to the medical reception desk carrying the fruit he bought on the road for visiting patients. He saw the nurse inside sitting behind the counter, playing with her mobile phone quite leisurely. She didn't even notice that someone was coming, so she had to cough lightly. A sound made the other person put down his phone and look up. Hello, I'm here to visit the patient. What's the patient's name? He Qingwen. In the intensive care unit 203, wait, who are you? Liujia, who did not expect to be asked this question again. I am her cousin. Cousin, that's okay. Our hospital system shows that He Qingwen has been in arrears for hospitalization and medical expenses for 3 days. If it exceeds 5 days, we will contact the police station to discuss what to do. Since you are her cousin, go to the payment window first. Just pay the debt. Liujia. He really didn't expect it, and he lost all his money just after he arrived. After he paid the hospital and medical bills honestly, which was delayed for a month, he found the intensive care unit 203 according to the hospital's electronic navigation map, stood at the door and knocked lightly. Hearing a weak "please come in" from inside, he turned the door handle and walked in. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 223. Chapter 223. There is a big problem. The moment the door opened, a strong smell of disinfectant hit the face, trying to cover up the smell of corruption that could not be ignored. But Liujia is not an ordinary person. Even if the smell of corruption in the ward has been diluted, ordinary people will not notice it even if he stays there for an hour. But before he entered, he couldn't help but want to cover his nose. Now, without seeing anyone, he was sure that his guess before coming was correct. The number of lives inside has been changed, and the cruelest method has been used to deprive a person of all the value he can. Otherwise, the smell of corruption wouldn't be so strong that it would choke his nose even if he wore a mask. The light in the ward was dim. It was obviously a sunny day, but the curtains were drawn inside. Only a small table lamp beside the bed was on, shining on the face of the woman who was half lying on the hospital bed. She also held a pen in her hand and was writing on a small table board in front of her tremblingly. I thought that the nurses and doctors who came in this time would still be the same nurses and doctors who had come here every day for the past 2 days to urge payment. Hikingwen did not stop and said feebly, "Don't rush, listen to me first. I am writing a suicide note, and I heard that your hospital has a department it is specially used to receive the remains of patients with strange diseases. Please give me an application form and fill it out while I still have the strength. This suicide note and the subsidy for my body, after deducting the owed medical expenses, can be contacted later." After my daughter, I handed it over to her. Her tone was calm, as if she was saying that the weather was not bad today. Unconsciously, his eyes fell on the hand holding the pen. The thin fingers were intertwined with wrinkles and covered with large and small purple-black spots. Looking up, you can see the gray hair that is about to fall out, and the face that is also full of wrinkles and spots. People in their 70s and 80s believe it. No one would associate her with the elegant lady in her 30s or 40s in the photo. In just 4 years, the man in front of him seemed to have passed 40 years. This is the horror of being bewitched. Hikingwen's fingers paused slightly while she was writing. She finally realized that the people who came in were not the doctors and nurses she thought they were, and she raised her head with difficulty to look at the bedside. Wearing a navy blue sportswear, a black baseball cap and a black mask, only a pair of narrow, clear eyes were exposed. The moment they looked at each other, she felt a clear sound suddenly ringing in her increasingly chaotic mind. It seems to be the sound of the wooden fish that I heard when I took my husband and daughter to the temple. She tried to cheer up and asked, "Who are you?" Wuju originally took this trip just to confirm his and Shen Yunking's speculations, but he didn't expect the victim's condition to be so serious. He couldn't help but hesitate whether to continue with the original plan or directly tell the truth to the person in front of him. But if the plan changes, if he is overstimulated for a moment and dies accidentally, it will be his fault. After reciting the words Amitba in his mind, he decided to compromise and play it safe. "I am Xiaotao's friend. She has been very busy with work recently and can't get away, so she asked me to come over to visit you." The young man in front of her had a peaceful aura, and she didn't know if it was an illusion. The closer he stood beside the bed to her, she felt that the ubiquitous and ever-present pain in her body was relieved a lot. This made her not even have the slightest suspicion. It turns out he is a friend of that girl Xiaotao. She is really busy with her job. Sometimes she can't even receive calls. She is not willing to change her job. "Young man. Thank you for coming to see me. I don't scare you, do I?" Wuja shook his head, with a trace of imperceptible compassion in his voice. "How could it be? I am also a doctor and I have seen many weird diseases." "Doctor, the profession of doctor is good. You are still so young, you are really excellent." Wuja's face started to feel slightly hot under the mask due to the praise, so he quickly interrupted, "Can I feel your pulse? Are you a Chinese medicine practitioner?" "Yes. Xiao Tao's father is also a Chinese medicine practitioner." Hikingwen's voice became a little more intimate, covering up her sadness, and put her hand on the small table. "You take it." She guessed that the young man in front of her thought her illness was strange and couldn't help but want to check her pulse. He had no expectation that she would be cured. Nearly 4 years have passed, and she has gone from being hopeful at the beginning to completely despairing now. Unconsciously, my fingers fell on the skinny wrist, and it took a while to feel the pulse. The appearance of a lamp that has run out of oil. But it is not that the oil that humans naturally age has dried up, but that the internal oil has been drained away by external forces, leaving only a little residual lamp. This is also thanks to all kinds of modern medical equipment. If it were in ancient times, even if there were various precious medicinal materials to extend one's life, he would never survive today. The key is that Hikingwen's body is already in urgent need. If His Majesty had not deduced the clues to Xiao Tao's relatives 2 days ago, and he had not rushed over as soon as he found the clues, given He Qingwen's physical condition, at most 10 more days, this lamp that was infinitely on the verge of going out would have been to be completely destroyed. How is it, fearing that the young man might have concerns, He Qingwen smiled comfortingly, it doesn't matter, just say it, I know my own body well, you see, I have even prepared a suicide note. I just want to keep the body, don't tell Xiao Tao about asking the hospital to recycle it. What I said in the suicide note was that it was left to her by her father and it had just been taken out from the bank. Liuzhe felt embarrassed and said, I am not good at studying. He Qingwen also smiled and accepted the statement, you are still young. Xiao Tao's father said that Chinese medicine is the most difficult to learn in medicine. It is worth studying for a lifetime. Don't be discouraged. I went to several hospitals for this disease and they said there was no cure. This is the cure. Although it can't be cured, there is a medicine that is somewhat effective and can keep me alive. Medicine. Well, 1 pill a day. Today's infusion has been finished, so I have some strength after the infusion. If you come over in the afternoon, I'm afraid I won't be able to see you awake. I saw He Qingwen coming out of the hospital, so I found a noodle shop opposite the hospital. I ordered some plain noodles and found a seat in a corner. While waiting for the noodles to be delivered, I took out my mobile phone. Asterisk. In the RV. Just halfway through lunch, a video invitation popped up on the phone placed on the table. Shen Yunqing put down his chopsticks and said, it's Liuzhe. He reached out and clicked the call. Zhang Lingzi also put down her chopsticks, stood up and moved to the chair next to Shen Yunqing. Shen Yunqing's back stiffened slightly, and she silently put her phone between the two of them. Liuzhe on the other end saw two faces that were very close to each other on the screen. He took a breath and said, I just went to see that Ms. How about it? Her condition is more serious than we expected. With her pulse condition, she won't survive now. I suspect there is something wrong with the medicine she is taking, and there is something wrong with this hospital. Then he said about his decision, I am going to stay for another 2 days and investigate this hospital. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 224. Chapter 224, Sleep in your bed. The video hung up, and the atmosphere in the RV became a little more solemn. He Qingwen's situation has been confirmed to be the work of the warlock, and the person who has indirect contact with her is Mei Shuiqing. It can even be boldly inferred that the major changes in Xiao Tao's family were caused by Mei Shuiqing. Zhang Lingzi couldn't help raising her hand and tapping the table. What is she going to do? Thousands of years ago, those evil sorcerers wanted to live forever, but now it is thousands of years later, and science has proven that immortality is just an empty talk. Is it possible that there are still people who are still determined to live forever? But it's okay if you go to a remote mountain and old forest to retreat, so why do you want to harm ordinary people? Because they are used to taking shortcuts. Zhang Lingzi stood up and returned to the chair opposite. When she met Shen Yunqing's eyes, she was speechless at this explanation. She has seen too many people who want to take shortcuts, not to mention those warlocks who dream of immortality. There were many such people in her court in her previous life. Climbing up step by step is too tiring and time-consuming. Waiting for the station, you are already 80 years old when you reach the position you want to stand. How long can you hold on to that position? And if you only need to please your boss and violate your conscience sometimes, you can save several years of the long road, so why not do it? He Qingwen cannot die. Although the other party can only be regarded as a stranger to her, they are both targets of Mei Shuiqing. He Qingwen is about to be given up, while she has just been scouted. Even based on this alone, He Qingwen must live well. She needs to understand Mei Shuiqing's methods from He Qingwen. Shen Yunqing nodded without hesitation, selectively forgetting what Wooja said in the video just now, that he Kingwin was exhausted. When Wooja finishes investigating the hospital, I will find a way to move Majesty to the imperial capital, the hospital nearby. Wooja has great medical skills and will be able to save Majesty's life. Wooja, who still didn't know that he had been betrayed by his friend, without hesitation. Zhang Lingzi was a little surprised. She had seen Wooja taking Su Ling'an's pulse and guessed that he was a Chinese medicine doctor, but she didn't expect Shen Yunqing's evaluation to be so high. How can he be so powerful at such a young age? Shen Yunqing nodded without changing his expression and said, medical skills are not divided into different families. I remember that there was a warlock who could detect the whereabouts of relatives based on their blood relationship. Is it possible that he is so powerful? Can he do this as well? Shen Yunqing, it should be possible. Wooja, who was eating vegetarian noodles. Asterisk. Although Zhang Lingzi was in a bad mood due to a video, she still finished the food in her lunchbox. Looking at the still scorching sun outside the car window, I didn't want to get out of the car. You can rest for a while. The notice states that the start-up time is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's enough for us to go there at 1:30. Zhang Lingzi turned around and saw Shen Yunqing patting a bed next to the sofa. At first glance, she knew that it was much more comfortable than the folding bed she used on the set, so she didn't want to refuse it. What will you do if I sleep on the bed? I'm not sleepy, I just have to do some work for a while. Zhang Lingzi looked in the direction of Shen Yunqing's finger. There was a silver gray laptop on the coffee table in front of the sofa. Then get busy and remember to call me when the time comes. Zhang Lingzi walked to the bed, took off her shoes and lay down on it with peace of mind. Anyway, someone doesn't need it, and if he doesn't use it, he doesn't use it. As soon as she lay down on it, she discovered that this bed was not only more comfortable than her folding bed, but also much better than the bed at home. The pillow was also the round pillow she was accustomed to using. If she had such an RV, she wouldn't even have to stay in a hotel. It seems that it is really necessary to rent a car when we go to shoot scenes outside the Great Wall. Thoughts flashed through my mind and I fell asleep. Shen Yunqing paused while typing on the keyboard and turned his head to look at the bed, which was less than 1 meter away from him. The air conditioner in the RV was turned on a little low. The quilt on the bed was originally pressed under Zhang Lingzi, and she was only covered with a thin blanket. But after she fell asleep, her body temperature turned cooler, and she realized that she was cold. A thin blanket was no longer enough, so she subconsciously pulled the quilt under her body. After just a few tugs, a soft and warm quilt fell on her body, wrapping her tightly. Zhang Lingzi stopped pulling the quilt and fell asleep again, contentedly. Shen Yunqing closed the cabinet door where the spare quilt was stored, turned around, and his eyes fell on the small face sunk in the quilt. The pair of eyes that made all the ministers bow their heads in awe in his previous life were now peacefully closed in front of him, falling into a deep sleep. Wooja asked him once, but regretted doing so. Just because of the fresh life he saw now, he never regretted it. After standing by the bed for a long time, he quietly left. Asterisk. I don't know whose RV this is, but it's obviously where we always park. Okay, Sheeman frowned and interrupted the assistant's complaint, it's an ownerless place, so whoever comes first will stop. After all, she was led to lift the parasol slightly and look towards the white RV. The car was not the largest among the RVs she had seen, but it was very sophisticated. There was no company logo on the car, which proved that the car was not equipped by the company but was bought by the artist himself. There have been quite a few film crews coming to the film and television city here recently for filming. They must be from some heavyweight artist. As soon as she looked away, she heard her assistant exclaim in a low voice, "Oh, the people in the car are coming out." She subconsciously turned her gaze over again, and was stunned for a moment. Unexpectedly, the artist she thought was a heavyweight was actually from her own crew. It's that Mr. Shen. Shimin was helpless. I saw it, I don't need you to remind me. As for the most mysterious actor in their crew, she dared to say that it must be Mr. Shen. She had no information in the entertainment industry before, and she didn't even have a personal account. The first time she acted, she was directly assigned to be the male lead. She even saw that even the director was polite to him, unlike the actors under her. Instead, it's like facing investors. She doesn't participate in readings, doesn't follow the group, and can come and go freely. Even after filming for so many days, she still feels that the crew is accommodating her male lead's time. But how is this possible? Even a big-name actor must follow the director's shooting plan, unless you are both the director and the protagonist. But she also had to admit that there was really nothing wrong with the other party's performance as Prime Minister Shen. Even Zhang Lingzi, who rarely gets NGs, has been NG'd several times by other actors, but the male lead scenes have never been NG'd once. I can't help but accept it. It's no wonder that everyone in the crew said that Mr. Shen is Prime Minister Shen himself. Of course, some people said that Zhang Lingzi was the Empress herself, but she just wanted to laugh. How could an actor be compared with Empress Yuan Zhao? Another one came down. Oh my god, it's Zhang Lingzi. Why are they both in the RV, whose car does this belong to? The assistant's exclamation made Shimin suddenly come back to her senses. She looked up and saw Mr. Shen holding a parasol in his hand, covering the head of Zhang Lingzi, who had just got out of the car. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 225. Chapter 225, Guessing the Relationship. Perceiving a sight that could not be ignored, Zhang Lingzi turned her head and met the eyes of Shiman, who was looking towards her not far away. She said hello in a normal tone, "Sister Man, come to work." Shiman nodded subconsciously and hummed slightly. "The sun is shining, so we'll leave first." Shen Yunqing just nodded in Shiman's direction without making a sound. Even though he had only met her a few times, he could tell that compared to Wei Minmin, whom he met more recently, His Majesty only had a superficial affection for Shiman, whom he had known for a longer time. Then naturally he won't pay much attention. Hunting to watch the two figures walking side by side disappear from sight, Shiman looked back with a complicated expression. I couldn't help but ask the assistant, who was surprised just now, "What do you think their relationship is?" "We got off the RV at noon. Maybe we just had a meal and lunch break together in the RV. They don't look like ordinary friends." This reminded her of Mr. Shen's reaction when Zhang Lingzi suddenly vomited blood a few days ago while filming. Combining what I just saw, it seems that it is not simple no matter how you look at it. The assistant thought of a possibility. Could it be the husband and wife of the crew? After saying this, he covered his mouth, looked around, and was relieved when he saw no one there. It's not like that. Shiman's first guess was the same, but after thinking about it, she still shook her head. If that's the case, they would only be secretive, and they wouldn't be so generous and not afraid of being seen, and they would be so calm. "Say hello to me." Perhaps Zhang Lingzi acted so generously on purpose so that no one would be suspicious. That's possible. But they seem to be a good match. I don't know if it will become a reality after the filming is completed. Shiman. Although I don't know who Mr. Shen is, judging from her years of experience in the entertainment industry, she probably has a good background. Zhang Lingzi is just a small actor, or he was covered in dirty stuff and has only recently been cleared of some dirt. Why is he so lucky? Even now she still feels uncomfortable with Zhang Lingzi playing a female lead, and she doesn't even want to take advantage of the CP. In front of the crew was the crew. Zhang Lingzi took the umbrella from Shen Yunqing and held her up all the way. I guess Shiman is wildly speculating about the relationship between the two of us. Shen Yunqing, she is a smart person. Zhang Lingzi suddenly smiled with narrowed eyes and nodded. Smart people, even if they really have some speculation, will not say it without any evidence. Moreover, they are in the same crew now. If it has a bad influence on the crew, she, the third female lead, will also be unlucky. This is the reason why she is confident. I'm going to do my makeup. Bye. Having a comfortable nap at noon has obvious effects, and she will be full of energy. The makeup was done and the scene was still being prepared on the set. Zhang Lingzi was about to read 2 more pages of the book when she heard director Wei calling her and Shen Yunqing. When I walked over, I saw that the chess game they played in the morning was still on the chess table, with a few more chess pieces on it. Zhang Lingzi could tell after just one glance, "Director Wei, what's next?" Wei Xiao wiped the sweat from his head and fanned loudly with the fan in his hand. He raised his head and glared at the two of them helplessly. "You two are lazy and haven't seen anyone all afternoon," he thought. After finishing the endgame, I wanted to try to continue, but after playing it a few times, I felt it was inappropriate. I went back and forth several times and still felt it was not working. I couldn't find Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing, who disappeared after leaving the endgame, so I simply called the video again to find them. He has the highest level of Go among the people he knows. The two of them chatted several times over the phone. This time, the senior on the other side of the video gave up first. The reason given to him was that he couldn't figure out his thoughts before the endgame. He also asked him who was the person who left this endgame. Wei Xiao was shocked at the time. He couldn't play the game himself and it could be explained by his lack of skill. However, the old man he was looking for had a high status in the Go world. He was obviously interested in people who play chess. He said it was his 2 actors who were cast during filming, and he got an unequivocal impossible. These days, no one believes the truth. While you still have some free time, you two will finish the game while I videotape it. The old man said it was impossible, he had to let him see with his own eyes whether it was true. Zhang Lingzi. Shen Yunqing. What happened at noon? Seeing that Wei Xiao had fixed his mobile phone on the stand, the two of them looked at each other and had no choice but to accept their fate and sit down facing each other on both sides of the chess table to continue the game they left in the morning. The others walked away silently when they saw this. After all, they saw director Wei scratching his head and head at the chessboard at noon. After Shi-Man finished her makeup, she wanted to find a quiet place to watch the next few scenes. As soon as she walked into the palace, she saw Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing playing chess. The director Wei was filming the two of them next to them. There was a scene under their feet. Pause. He retreated to the door and called out to a staff member who was passing by. He gestured with his eyes, "What's going on over there?" "Oh, Teacher Zhang and Mr. Shen were filming a game of chess this morning. The filming was over before the chess game was played. Director Wei wanted them to finish playing the game." "Play chess, Go." "Yeah, I didn't expect that. Teacher Zhang and Mr. Shen are both very good at playing chess. They even compare to Director Wei." Shiman waved her hand and let the staff go away. When she turned to leave, she couldn't help but look into the hall again. Zhang Lingzi can actually play Go at a very high level. Why does she feel so unreal? The end game that troubled Wei Xiao for more than an hour was decided by Zhang Lingzi and Shen Yunqing within a quarter of an hour. "I lost." Zhang Lingzi raised her eyes to look at Shen Yunqing, who was calmly admitting defeat, and couldn't help but snorted softly. This person did not let her go, but he changed his chess style, which had always been conservative, and became a lot more aggressive. "I don't have the temperament to like fighting, but I just do the opposite. I don't know what is going on in my heart." Shen Yunqing smiled back. In the past, he abided by his duties as a minister, but now that there are no shackles, he naturally wants to fight for himself. Wei Xiao didn't realize the quarrel between the two of them. He put away his phone with satisfaction, then passed the video he just took to the old man, and added a sentence, "Now your boss should believe it, bar." After doing this, I suddenly felt relieved. I waved my hands and announced loudly, everyone, hurry up and get ready to turn on the machine. The whole set suddenly became lively. However, he didn't wait long for his happiness. Just as he was about to take a break after filming, the staff member he sent to coordinate the next shooting location hurried over and said, "Director." Wei Xiao had a bad feeling when he saw his expression. "Why are you back so soon?" The Wanchao street that will be used next was rented by the crew of The Legend of the City first, and they rented it for a week. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 226. Chapter 226. There is another Wanchao Street. Can't we coordinate more? Our crew only needs 2 days. The voice of this reply this time is a bit vomiting. Guide, you forget, the heroine of the biography of the city is Mr. Su Qingmei and Su Wei Xiao. He really didn't think about it for a moment. We were both filming in the Imperial City Film and Television City, and I heard that the crew of The Legend of the Fallen City was about to find their heroine, and the actors had to change the roles and makeup. Even the previously selected male lead was chosen because of Su Qingmei. They said they couldn't get along, so now he's been replaced by someone from Su Qingmei's own studio. Several other important roles are also actors designated by Su Qingmei. It can be said that in the current cast of The Legend of the Fallen City, the heroine may have more say than the director. Previously, the cast of Emperor, he and Su Qingmei were unhappy, and wanted to know that this was not good for this. Well, let's talk to the director of The Legend of the Fallen City and see if we can have dinner together tonight. Wei Xiao hates having his plans disrupted the most, especially since there are so many scenes on Wanchao Street. It will take at least 2 days to complete the filming if we hurry up and slow down. If we can't rent this, all the subsequent scenes may be arranged to be disrupted. The visitor responded and hurried to do it. Wei Xiao wiped his face, endured his irritation and continued to arrange the work on site. The set of the crew of The Legend of the Fallen City is not far away. The director of The Legend of the Fallen City, Lin Ying, looked at Su Qingmei, who came over and spread her hands helplessly. After all, he is the director of the health department. Although he is also a famous director, his status is not comparable to that of Wei Xiao. This time the other party took the initiative to invite him to dinner, and he really didn't want to refuse. You must know that the two of them usually don't belong to the same level of circles. I thought, anyway, our crew is not in a hurry for the scene on Wanchao Street. It won't be a problem if we go out for 2 days, and we can still owe Director Wei a favor. Su Qingmei raised her eyes slightly, and nothing could be seen on her delicately made-up face, but it was obvious that she was unhappy. She didn't say anything, she just raised her chin towards the assistant standing beside her. The assistant took a step forward knowingly and handed over several densely printed A4 papers. Director Lin, our teacher Su feels that the scenes on Wanchao Street are a bit blurry. These are the scenes she and the screenwriting teacher invited to add temporarily. The movie will take at least 2 days to shoot. Do you think it's more important to do The Legend of the Fallen City or to owe the director a trivial favor? Lin Ying took the suddenly extra flying pages. He was now very familiar with this kind of thing. He has seen this thing no less than 10 times since it was turned on for more than a month. At first, he was ecstatic when he learned that Su Qingmei was willing to join his crew, but now, he just feels tired. The bigger the position, the harder it is to serve him. This is really a wise saying for him now. He adds extra scenes and actors from time to time. He is obviously the chief director of the crew, but his voice is not as good as that of his own heroine. Who can believe this? But it's easier to ask God than to send him away, and he also hopes to rely on Su Qingmei to make The Legend of the City a hit drama, so he always tells himself to continue to endure. If that's the case, then I'll go and reject it from director Wei. He can only choose between the heroine and the director, and he can only take care of his own family first. And to be honest, he has a little bit of ambition in his heart. Maybe he can surpass the director Wei's Empress Yuan Zhao in one fell swoop with The Legend of Qing Cheng, which wasted a lot of effort. After all, he heard that the male and female protagonists of Empress Yuan Zhao are both little-known actors. Compared to his own heroine, his fame can be said to be huge. Moreover, the situation has been constant since the filming started, and several actors have been changed. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't look like the shooting went smoothly. Watching him walk away, Su Qingmei took a sip of the iced coffee she had on hand, her voice full of disdain. "A 18th-tier actor is worthy of fighting with me, so let me give in." No one had ever made her so unhappy, and what she couldn't accept even more was that Wei Xiao would rather choose a small 18th line than her. Her anger is not so easy to get rid of. Wei Xiao once again saw his staff coming back with sad faces, and knew that he had been rejected. How should I put it? It's not too surprising. Su Qingmei's temper, forget it, you go about your business. The worst case scenario is just staying up late to revise the shooting plan. It's troublesome, but there's nothing we can do about it. Are all the notices for the day after tomorrow and the day after tomorrow invalid? As soon as Zhang Lingzi read the notice in the group, a bunch of emoticons appeared on the screen, and many actors expressed doubts about this. After all, this notice is usually issued at least 3 days in advance, so that the actors who have roles can prepare in advance and memorize their lines. In addition to filming on the set of The Empress, many actors also have other jobs. These must be arranged in advance according to the notice, and the time should be arranged reasonably. Now that there is such a chaos, many people's plans have also been disrupted. There were so many people asking questions that Wei Xiao had to explain. The Wanchao Street scene has been rented out by other crews in advance. The day after tomorrow will be all about Wanchao Street. Now we need to postpone filming for a while. Wei Minmin sat next to Zhang Lingzi and looked around but did not see her uncle. Guessing that he was also troubled by this matter, she lowered her head and typed, "Wanchao Street is so big, the other crew must also be filming ancient costumes. As for the drama, if the two crews film it together, it shouldn't affect each other, right?" She also met 3 crews filming in the same garden. The film and television city is so big, renting a place for a day costs a lot of money. Everyone wants to shoot faster, so compromises are often made. Even the extras share it. Wei Xiao handed over the extra scenes to several assistant directors. He was chewing on the notice of revision when he saw the message from his eldest niece and sighed. He clicked on her avatar and chose to chat privately. "The other crew is from Allure Pass. When Wei Minmin saw the news, he didn't know what to say. She has also heard about what Su Qingmei did on the set of The Legend of the Fallen City. She is probably still angry with her brother-in-law to this day. She couldn't help but sigh when she thought about it. What is this? Zhang Lingzi heard Wei Minmin sighing and was a little curious. "Why are you sighing?" "I wonder why my uncle just changed the notice without fighting for it. The first person to rent Wanchao Street was the crew of The Legend of the Fallen City. Zhang Lingzi, I understand." Wei Minmin was about to turn off her phone so that she could be out of sight and out of mind, when a message just popped up on the screen, making her eyes widen. "Prime Minister Shen, is the Wanchao Street in front of the Yinhe Palace Museum okay?" End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 227. Chapter 227. How much energy? This piece of news appeared in the cast group, and it exploded within a short time. Some people thought they had made a mistake and asked again, "What is Prime Minister Shen talking about? Which Wanchao Street is the real one? Antique level, is it still the one that limits the daily flow of tourists? I don't understand, is the crew really allowed to move in there? As far as I know, there is a historical documentary about Yinhe Palace that the crew went in to film. But that was approved by the official Department of Historical Research. Okay, this is just a TV series. If I can really go to Jinwancheo Street to shoot, wouldn't I be able to touch those antiques with my own hands? Haha, do you really dare to think that you are not afraid of accidentally falling and losing everything? Well, forget it then. Except for Su Ling'an, who didn't know much about it, other people's messages in the group were posted very quickly. Wei Minmin turned her head and looked aside. Sister 11, Mr. Shen. Can he really apply for the lease right of the real Wancheo Street? She now feels that it is untrue, and at the same time she feels that Mr. Shen is not a person who talks nonsense when he is not sure. She is eager to get a definite answer from Zhang Lingzi. Zhang Lingzi shook the phone in her hand at her. Shen Yunqing finished work earlier than she did, and was picked up by Hizhu after taking off her makeup. She had to ask people and send messages. But what she sent to Shen Yunqing was, will it be embarrassing? You don't need to ask others, you can tell just by reading the messages posted by other people in the group that the real Wancheo Street is not like a fake Wancheo Street that can be rented casually. That is a piece of history that must be carefully maintained. Shen Yunqing was still on the way to Yungzi Building. After quitting the cast, she ignored Wei Xiao's private chat and clicked on the message sent by Zhang Lingzi. After reading it, she couldn't help but curled her lips and replied, "Don't worry, no, it will be difficult." He once participated in the repair work of Wancheo Street, and even donated some precious antiques on Wancheo Street free of charge. Although at that time he just wanted to recreate the prosperity of Wancheo Street 1,000 years ago, he did not care about the cultural relic witness certificate issued to him by the department, nor did he think about obtaining any convenience based on it. But if the grand scene of Wancheo Street could be recreated in a TV series performed by His Majesty himself, it would be another kind of perfection. I will use my stamp to apply later, and it should be approved soon. The Cultural Relics Management Department of Wancheo Street is under the management of the Yinhe Palace Museum, so this respect will be given to him. Zhang Lingzi put away her phone and nodded to Wei Minmin, who was waiting anxiously. There is no need to change the announcement. Wei Minmin couldn't hold it back for a moment and cheered. Mr. Shen, he is too powerful. Zhang Lingzi raised her eyebrows when she heard her comment. Who says it's not? She is not even that proud. Pop, Wei Xiao simply closed the computer in front of him and stared at the phone screen in his hand. After seeing the message the other party is typing at the top of the screen, he couldn't help but hold his breath. He was already planning to revise the notice, but he never expected to receive such a big surprise the next second. His first reaction was the same as everyone else in the group, disbelief. But compared to others, he knew more about Shen Yunqing. In the eyes of everyone in the industry, my crew is considered to be the biggest project this year. But it depends on who you are competing with. Compared with Shen Yunqing's huge assets, as long as the other party is willing, he can set up several big projects that can compete with Empress Yuan Zhao at any time. And it was thanks to Zhang Lingzi that he was able to cast this man as the leading actor in the play. Although it is not yet certain what the relationship between the two is, one thing is certain. If the crew did not have Zhang Lingzi, Shen Yunqing would never be invited. But even he didn't expect that this person's energy was greater than he imagined. Wancheo Street is so easy to rent, and there is only one day left tomorrow. Not only do you have to apply, but you also have to get the rental approval letter from the relevant department. Even if he drags his father out, he doesn't have the confidence. Ding dong, the cell phone prompt ringing in his ears seemed extremely clear and sweet at this moment, and Wei Xiao immediately looked at the screen. I'll get the filming permit tomorrow and I'll send someone to send it to the crew director Wei. See you on Wanchao Street the day after tomorrow. Okay, okay. After replying 3 words in a row and adding an exclamation mark, Wei Xiao stood in the office and couldn't help laughing heartily. Empress Yuan Zhao is not the first historical drama he has filmed, but it is the first time he has gone to a real protected ancient building reserved for live shooting. Not only can he perfectly restore Wan Chao Street thousands of years ago, etc., putting it online during the warm-up period is a hot topic. How could he not be overjoyed? Soon, in the group of actors who were still discussing whether Shen Yunqing was talking nonsense, the leader of the group said to everyone, "The announcement of the day after tomorrow is the same as the day after tomorrow." The group suddenly became quiet. Since the fake Wan Chao Street cannot be rented, the filming plan remains as usual. There is only one explanation: Mr. Shen really helped the crew apply for a rental license for the real Wan Chao Street. Then, how did Mr. Shen do it? Shimen put her phone on the table and heard the assistant's disbelieving voice in her ear. She raised her eyes and looked at Zhang Lingzi, who was sitting not far away, and said lightly, "I want to know too." Looking around, we can see that all the actors in the group are still surprised and excited, even Wei Minmin, the girl, is no exception. The only one, Zhang Lingzi, doesn't seem surprised at all. She really couldn't help but think about it. And Mr. Shen can even rent Wan Chao Street. How much energy does this have? What's even more depressing is that she can't imagine it. Asterisk. While others were still excited about being able to go to the real Wan Chao Street to film the day after tomorrow, Zhang Lingzi only noticed that Su Lingyan took out his cell phone and took a look, and his face became a little more nervous. Enan. Su Lingyan looked away from the message he just received and took a breath. "I just received a message that I can check the college entrance examination results tomorrow." Rao estimated her score based on the published answers after the exam, but she still couldn't help but feel a little nervous when she thought that she would be able to find out her college entrance examination results tomorrow. Zhang Lingzi paused. "What time is it?" 9 in the morning. Tomorrow's notice sheet has been printed in Zhang Lingzi's mind. "Your first scene tomorrow will start at 10:30, just in time to check the results first." Seeing that the girl could no longer control her nervousness, "I will check with you." Okay, Su Lingyan nodded seriously. She felt less nervous when she thought of having her sister by her side. "Xiao 11, come here." Zhang Lingzi looked up and saw that Director Wei had changed his frown from before, and now waved to her with a bright face. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 228. Chapter 228 College Entrance Examination Results. Zhang Lingzi followed Wei Xiao into his director's private office. "Xiao 11, I have to thank you for this matter." Zhang Lingzi didn't want to take credit. "It's Shen Yunqing's credit. It was you who recommended Mr. Shen. I have to thank both of you." "I just thanked Mr. Shen through my mobile phone." Wei Xiao looked at Zhang Lingzi with a look of unfaithfulness on his face. "The surprise and help Mr. Shen gave me this time are really great. It's too big, but you don't seem surprised at all." When he went out just now, he was overjoyed to see the other actors in the crew. After all, not everyone had the opportunity to shoot in real places of interest. Even he was a little uncontrollable just now, excited and nervous. "My heroine is too calm." Zhang Lingzi, "Yeah." Wei Xiao, "What kind of response is this?" He wiped his face, calmed himself down as much as possible, and started talking about another thing. "Didn't I record the whole game that you played with Mr. Shen today, and then sent it to an old man in the Go world to watch?" At this point, Wei Xiao's face became a little more embarrassed. "In fact, I just wanted to prove to him that this chess game was indeed played by my actors. He didn't believe it before. Unexpectedly, after watching it, he messaged me and said that he wanted to use the chess player in the video." Actor. "Well, that senior has always been very kind to me, and I really can't say no." Zhang Lingzi nodded slowly after appreciating the completely different side of Wei Xiao from when he was a director. "What next?" Wei Xiao felt that there was a way, and he coughed and quickly replied, "That's right, the old man's surname is Shi, and Mr. Shi also has the title of Deputy Leader of the China area of the International Chess and Go branch. It's a bit complicated to say it. It's simple. To put it simply, he is one of the leading figures in the domestic chess world. He is currently a guest on a traditional competitive program. One of the programs is a Go competition. The guests are Go enthusiasts from all over the world. Unexpectedly, this episode will feature. There is a young man from country R next door who secretly defeated all the guests from our country. His old man was a little angry. Didn't he just see the game between you and Mr. Shen? Let's compete with the young man from country R who has won several games. Zhang Lingzi frowned as she listened to what he said in one breath. We invented Go, but we can't beat a foreign player. This sounds like it makes her feel uncomfortable. Well, since we won several games in a row, the young man threatened at the end of the last program that none of us could beat him, which made Mr. Shi angry. But after watching the video of you playing chess, Mr. Shi felt you can, and I think you can. You two think highly of me. I have to say that her competitive spirit really aroused the two of them. Thinking of the message from Mr. Shi telling him to persuade him to come over so that he could kill the young man so that he would be devastated and dare not speak out any more arrogant words, Wei Xiao racked his brains and finally thought of another argument that could inspire success, and that program is from a national channel. As for the organizer, the country is now vigorously promoting traditional culture. This program has a large audience. You are an actor and you play Go so well. It will also be good for increasing your popularity. Hearing what he said, Zhang Lingzi thought about her fan base, which was 10 times different from Wei Minmin's. If I go, will it affect the filming of the crew? No, no, Wei Xiao waved his hand quickly. The program is broadcast live at night, and the studio is in the Imperial TV station. You just need to work hard after filming and then go play chess. If you agree, we'll finish work tomorrow night and I'll ask the cruise car to take you there. When we get there, Mr. Shi will send someone to pick us up. Zhang Lingzi, have the arrangements been made with director Daking Wei and Mr. Shi? Wei Xiao laughed and said, I don't think Xiao 11, you will just sit idly by and ignore this kind of thing. Yeah. Intuition. Zhang Lingzi. Then this intuition is quite accurate. The descendants of the people she once fought so hard to win under the protection of the world are not for people from other countries to look down on from this land. Getting Zhang Lingzi's nod, Wei Xiao immediately sent a message back to Mr. Shi, I will live up to your trust. Naughty girl, you're doing well. By the way, I want to make that girl a friend. Please help me get in touch with her. I want to exchange my thoughts on today's game of chess with naughty girl. Wei Xiao, who never thought that one day he would be the middleman. Zhang Lingzi received a friend request just after coming out of the office. She clicked on this friend request with 2 black and white chess pieces as her profile picture. No need to ask, it should be that old man Shi. The old man is quite impatient. Asterisk. After meeting a friend, Zhang Lingzi chatted with the old man about Go all night. As a result, they spent the whole night playing chess in their dreams. The scene was the palace where the scene was filmed during the day. The person playing chess with her was wearing a familiar purple official robe. He was twisting a white jade chess piece between his slender fingertips. He couldn't tell which one was gentler, the fingers or the chess piece. His voice was also always calm and slow. As if jade is flowing in the stream. She never seemed to say that she liked hearing this sound. After all, these words are a bit disrespectful to one's own ministers. However, although the dream was very real this time, she subconsciously knew that she was dreaming, so she might as well relax a little. He quickly said what he had been holding back in his previous life, Shen Qing's voice is better than the sound of the jade chess piece falling on the chessboard. As soon as the words fell, the people in front of him immediately made a surprised expression, their fingers trembled, and the chess piece on the fingertips fell on the chessboard. After a crisp sound, it disturbed the chess game that had just been played in the middle. Zhang Lingzi succeeded in her prank and woke up laughing from her sleep. Opening my eyes and looking at the already bright bedroom, I felt a little lost for no reason. Dong dong. Come in. The bedroom door was opened from the outside, and Lu Zhenzhen's little head poked in, and met a smiling face looking over at the bed. It turns out it wasn't my imagination. What? I just heard you laughing outside, Sister Zixi, and I thought it was an auditory hallucination. Zhang Lingzi, I laughed so loudly. Lu Zhenzhen nodded, are you having a sweet dream? Zhang Lingzi was embarrassed to say that she woke up from laughter, so she coughed lightly and replied, I just saw a pushed joke on my phone. That should be quite funny. Fortunately, Lu Zhenzhen continued to ask what the joke was before she stopped. Sister Zixi, Anan is here. The results of the college entrance examination are coming out today. This girl is a little nervous. Zhang Lingzi took a hairpin from the table and her hair. You talk to her while I wash up and take you to dinner. After breakfast, I put on my makeup and rushed to the set. It happened to be close to 9 o'clock. The staff on the set were already busy setting up the scenes to be shot today. Zhang Lingzi pulled Su Lingyan to sit down, holding her mobile phone and waiting quietly for the arrival of 9 o'clock sharp. Lu Zhenzhen suddenly said, it's 9 o'clock sharp. The three people looked at each other and logged into the college entrance examination score checking interface on their mobile phones. They entered Su Lingyan's exam number and name and clicked to check. Then I looked at the gray circle that kept spinning in the center of the screen. It's probably because there are too many points being checked and the system is too busy. After trying several times, Su Lingyan finally successfully logged in using her own phone. Zhang Lingzi and Lu Zhenzhen both looked at her phone screen. What's wrong? No scores are displayed. Could it be that the system has been squeezed out and something went wrong? Su Lingyan's expression turned a little pale, and she didn't know it either. After logging out, I checked again and it was still the same. Elder sister. Zhang Lingzi was about to ask Tong Yu, one of her relatives who was also a college entrance examination student, what the situation was, when the cell phone in Su Lingyan's hand rang first. It's Grandma. Not wanting to panic, Su Lingyan quickly answered the phone and said as calmly as possible, Grandma. Anan, I just received 2 calls. They claimed to be admissions teachers from Beijing University and Huida. They both said they would invite you to apply for their schools. I said you were not at home, and they had already turned around and gone to the film and television city to find you. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 229. Chapter 229 Robbery. Hello, classmate Su, I am the Deputy Director of Admissions at Peking University. My surname is Lu, just call me Teacher Lu. Before Su Lingyan could react to Teacher Lu, who was smiling amiably at her, another middle-aged man who had just been hurriedly ushered in followed and said, hello, classmate Su. At once attracted the attention of everyone in the office. Teacher Lu from Beijing University couldn't help grinding his teeth when he saw this. Relying on his driver's better driving skills, he finally managed to put some distance between himself and his old rival on the road. He just wanted to be the first to contact classmate Su Lingyan. Unexpectedly, he just said hello and this guy started chasing him. Come up. The visitor walked up to Su Lingyan, who had a dull expression and seemed unresponsive, and used a clever move to push his old rival aside. He couldn't help but be stunned for a moment when he looked at the little girl in costume in front of him. Fortunately, Su Lingyan's makeup was light and consistent with the one in the information. After confirming that he had not admitted his mistake, he immediately introduced himself with a more enthusiastic smile. Su is taking advantage of the summer vacation to work part-time in the film and television city. He is such a good boy. He deserves it, he's a student from our Hua University. By the way, my surname is Zhang, Li Zhang, so classmate Su can just call me Teacher Zhang. Su Ling'an, who saw this kind of battle for the first time, Zhang, good teacher Zhang, good teacher Lu. Chapter 1. Lu quickly responded with a smile, not forgetting to glare at each other implicitly. Although there is basically this kind of confrontation every year, this trip is different from the previous one. Before they came, they were specially reminded by the boss that they must win today's little number 1 scholar to their school. For nothing else, just the dazzling perfect scores on the college entrance examination transcript. Under this posture, even Wei Xiao, who always spoke his mind in the crew, took on the role of serving tea and water to the 2 admissions teachers, who allowed this room to be temporarily used to receive teachers from 2 major schools, as well as air conditioning and water dispensers. The room is currently his director's office. The 2 teachers are here in a hurry, let's have a drink of water first. After bringing the tea, Wei Xiao couldn't help but glance at Su Ling'an, who was surrounded by the enthusiasm of the 2 teachers, and then at Zhang Lingzi, who was standing quietly behind Su Ling'an. He has gained a lot of experience in this matter. Beijing University and Huaqiao University are both well known and do not require popular science. As the 2 top colleges in the country, this is the first time he has seen teachers from these 2 colleges chasing each other like this, sweating profusely, just to grab a student. The key point is that the student is still an actor in his crew. What a powerful little girl he attracted on a whim. The only one who was relatively calm in the office was Zhang Lingzi, who was pulled over by the nervous Su Ling'an. After knowing the identity of the 2 teachers who came here, she was a little anxious because she couldn't find Su Ling'an's grades. She calmed down. She had seen a similar scene in her previous life. When Shen Mocking came back from Beijing to report on his duties, she intended to let him stay in the capital to serve. As soon as she revealed this plan, the officials in charge of the 3 provinces, 6 ministries, and 9 temples came to this young man with outstanding ability and simplicity in the heart of the emperor. The minister almost broke his head. The scene of a group of ministers robbing people in the main hall was very similar to the current scene. Su Ling'an received her sister's encouraging look and just plucked up the courage to say a word. Just as he was promoting his college, major and how good the teachers were, the 2 teachers, Zhang and Lu, quickly shut up and said in a gentle tone, "Classmate Su, what do you want to say?" "I just checked the college entrance examination results on the official website with my sister, but it didn't show up. What's the reason?" Well, teacher Hua Dazhang got the chance to answer this question first. Seeing that Su is busy filming on the set, he should not know some policies related to college entrance examination scores. Usually people like you can't check your scores. Because our scores are within the top 50 in the province or the city, but since we were able to come here, we naturally got Su's scores in advance. Teacher Lu from Beijing University saw the way Su Ling'an was listening carefully to his old enemy. Holding it back, he rushed to announce, "Student Su is the top scorer in the college entrance examination in our imperial city, and he has perfect scores in mathematics, physics, and chemistry, and the total score is as high as 733, so there is no need to worry about checking it on the query interface." Less than. Su Ling'an breathed a sigh of relief when he finally found out his college entrance examination scores, while Wei Xiao couldn't help but take a deep breath. He originally thought that Su Ling'an would let these 2 teachers come over to rob the students. The score was definitely not low, and he would probably get 700 points. I didn't expect that. My guess was too conservative. With a high score of 733, I was still the top scorer in the college entrance examination. There was only one like this in the entire imperial city, and today he was actually met and brought to his own production crew. Thinking of this, he suddenly remembered that he had said 2 days ago that Su Ling'an had talent in acting and could apply for the Film and Television Academy. Even though the air conditioner was still on, his face felt a little hot. With this score, it would be a waste of money to apply for the Film and Television Academy. Fortunately, I didn't ask today, otherwise I would definitely get a blank look from the two admissions teachers in front of me. I think Sue's choice of minor subjects is rather rational. I don't know which major the university prefers. Our school's science majors such as mathematics and physics are all top -1, and there are several national level laboratories. Zhang Lingzi picked up the cup and took a slow sip. Although Su Ling'an brought her here to suppress the battle, she had no intention of interfering in which school to choose, what major to study, or even which school to study. She believed that Su Ling'an could make his own decision. She made up her mind to play the role of a family member here. Therefore, when the two admissions teachers looked at the little girl in front of them, they were a little overwhelmed and turned their attention to Zhang Lingzi, the sister. Zhang Lingzi met their eyes and said lightly, "I support all An's decisions." A gentle yet firm voice sounded from behind, causing Su Ling'an, who was slowly falling into a dilemma, to calm down. She knew what major she wanted to apply for, and she also thought about applying to schools based on her scores after checking her college entrance examination scores. However, she never thought that something like this would happen. The admissions teacher would arrive before the scores came out. No matter Beijing University or Huida is the premier university, the two teachers in front of her are looking at her eagerly. If she chooses one of them, the other will definitely be disappointed. Her character has never seen such eyes. "I want to major in computer science. Can the two teachers explain the situation of this major in your school?" Sister reminded him that although she didn't want to see one of them disappointed, no matter whether she chose one or neither, she had to make the next decision. "Besides, I have an announcement today, so I can't just sit here and hesitate. Well, let me start by saying, I wonder if Mr. Su has heard of the T1313 supercomputer. This computer was developed by students from the School of Computer Science of our School of Engineering, and..." No matter who spoke first, Su Ling'an listened carefully with his ears pricked up. This was the first time that she decided her own future under the witness of her sister and Director Wei. You can't take it too seriously. End of this chapter. Her Majesty the Queen has become a god in the entertainment industry. Author, Press 11. Chapter 230. Chapter 230 Change of Mind. After a heated exchange of words. When Su Ling'an dropped the word "I," you could hear pin drops in the office. "Teacher Lu, I'm sorry, I choose Bji." After saying these words, Teacher Zhang couldn't help laughing. "Good choice, Mr. Su, welcome to Bji." Although Teacher Lu was a little disappointed, he still gave Su Ling'an an encouraging smile and said, "Then welcome Mr. Su to apply for our graduate degree at Peking University in 3 years." Teacher Zhang immediately glared at him. "Even if you are a graduate student, you are a graduate student who will be directly admitted to our Huida University." After signing the contract of intention and pressing fingerprints, the matter of choosing a school was finally settled. After seeing off the two teachers who were chasing each other all the way to grab someone, Su Ling'an looked at the time left and looked back at Wei Xiao, who had followed him out to see them off. "Director Wei, I want to call my grandma to say something. This issue." Wei Xiao waved to her with a smile on his face. "Go, you have to tell the old man the good news." Su Ling'an trotted aside to make a phone call, while Zhang Lingzi and Wei Xiao walked toward the set. "Your sister is amazing. This is the first time I have seen the top scorer in the college entrance examination in real life. I didn't know she had such good grades before, and I even suggested her to apply for the Film and Television Academy." Zhang Lingzi didn't have the humility of a parent at all. "Well, she is very good. I actually have a #1 actor in my crew. There will be a scene where the #1 actor is parading on Wanchao Street tomorrow. Why don't we just let Anan, the girl, do the opposite? There aren't many scenes anyway." Wei Xiao muttered as he walked to the monitor. Before he could ask the assistant director on the side where he was filming, he was met with several gossipy looks. "Director Wei, I just saw the two cars parked outside the set. They seem to have the logos of Peking University and G. And that girl Su Ling'an, what on earth is going on? There were so many people in the crew, and naturally it was not just the assistant director. They saw someone driving a car to look for Su Ling'an. However, Wei Xiao had no intention of concealing this matter. After all, there was nothing good that could be concealed. When the assistant director asked, he just had a look on his face. He said proudly. Several people around listened with their ears pricked up. The first reaction was disbelief, but after thinking about it, I realized that there was no need to lie about this. That's true. Their crew actually produced a top scorer in the college entrance examination. Zhang Lingzi also received urgent questions from Lu Zhengzheng and Wei Minmin. She glanced at the two people and said, "Didn't you already guess it?" Really, Wei Minmin couldn't help but widen her eyes and cover her mouth. Let Beijing University and G compete for it. How good is an AN's college entrance examination score? Do you know the specific score now? 733, the top scorer in the college entrance examination. The folding chair Lu Zhengzheng was sitting on suddenly tilted. If Zhang Lingzi hadn't caught her with quick eyesight and quick hands, she would have fallen flat on her butt. She didn't have time to thank her, so she just sighed in a sleepy tone, "I am the top scorer in the college entrance examination. I finally won the exam. When you meet a real person in real life, you call me Sister Zhengzheng, hee hee." Wei Minmin snorted lightly, her eyes full of smiles, "and also calls me Sister Minmin." The two of them were very proud of themselves. Seeing their reactions, Zhang Lingzi shook her head in amusement and met the eyes that were thrown at her from all directions. As expected, this matter will soon spread throughout the crew. However, that's fine. Su Ling'an came back from the phone call and was pulled by the on-site makeup teacher to touch up her makeup. Then she ran non-stop in front of the camera to practice her camera skills in preparation for the next scene. Wei Xiao looked at her like this on the monitor and nodded with satisfaction. For a child of this age, he had just learned that he had won the first prize in the college entrance examination and had been admitted to BG in advance. He originally thought that his mind would be impetuous and unable to calm down in a short period of time. It was rare that Su Ling'an could still be so calm. Every group, get ready. The weather was approaching noon, and the actors were basically sweating after filming a scene in the sun, wearing heavy costumes. Lu Zhengzheng rushed over with an umbrella in one hand and summer tea and tissues in the other. Like other assistants, he immediately put the umbrella over the head of his artist and presented tissues and herbal tea. Su Ling'an's face was also flushed from the sun. He took the teacup and couldn't wait to take a big sip. "Thank you, Sister Zhengzheng." After saying that, he took the tissue and began to wipe the sweat. Lu Zhengzheng looked at Su Ling'an looking at Wen Kexing. Hearing her sweetly call him Sister Zhengzheng, it was like drinking a large bottle of ice water on a hot day. Not to mention how refreshing it was, so he whispered, "I haven't had time to congratulate you yet." "Ah." "The top scorer in the college entrance examination," Lu Zhengzheng said, giving a thumbs up, "That's amazing." Su Ling'an knew that her sister had already told Sister Zhengzheng. Unexpectedly, this congratulation is just the beginning. After the director of health gave the order for everyone to take a rest, Su Ling'an walked towards the direction where Zhang Lingzi was resting. In the short distance, many people came running over, just to say congratulations to her, and even touched her without leaving any trace. After touching the sleeve of her costume, she left with satisfaction. Su Ling'an. What's more, when she walked to the folding chair and sat down, before she could say a word to her sister beside her, she saw the senior actor who played the emperor also walked over and said, "Congratulations to Miss Su for winning the top prize in the college entrance examination." Su Ling'an had no choice but to stand up quickly and said, "Teacher Huang, thank you for the award. Well, I have a heartfelt request. Tomorrow happens to be my eldest son's high school entrance examination. I want to ask Miss Sue for a used pen so that I can get the first prize in the college entrance examination. Faced with the sincere gaze of the senior actor, Sue Lingen finally handed over a used pen, which was given to her by her sister when she was tutoring her homework. I wish Mr. Wang's children good luck in the high school entrance examination and satisfactory results. Teacher Huang carefully stuffed the pen into his pocket. Thank you, I'll lend you the good luck of being the number one scholar. Watching the senior actor leave, Su Lingen sat down again and met the smiling eyes of his sister beside him. Elder sister. It's okay, I'll give you another one. Hands of the new pen in his hand, Su Lingen played with it and said hesitantly, why are you guys, becoming a little weird? It's not surprising, Zhang Lingzi clapped her hand, you yourself underestimated the importance of this top scorer in the college entrance examination. Ever since Su Lingen was suddenly appointed by Wei Xiao to play the role of Princess Jinan, even though Zhang Lingzi didn't pay any attention to it, she could sense that there were a lot of floating thoughts in the crew. She knew that many people would be secretly dissatisfied. Why could Su Lingen, a little girl who had just grown up and not had any acting experience, play such an important role? And in terms of filming experience, which of them was not better than Su Lingen? In the end they could only to match. Unwillingness, dissatisfaction, even jealousy, and hatred. Even though this crew is owned by Wei Xiao, he can't control the voices hidden in everyone's hearts. Gerlinan is very sensitive, so she will naturally be aware of these emotions. Fortunately, she was protecting her openly, Director Wei was appreciative of her, and Wei Minmin was also helping to protect her. Those people could only hold it in even if they didn't dare to reveal their thoughts. But people are inherently admiring. The object of envy and jealousy now has an unattainable title of top scorer in the college entrance examination, and is also being competed by two top colleges. It is enough to make people feel awe involuntarily, and their mentality has naturally changed. They are actually filming with the top scorer in the college entrance examination. What else can they be dissatisfied about? End of this chapter.